For joining us from our Abuja studio to discuss this is a PDP member, Femi Fani-Kayode. Thank you for your time on the show. Now, with the Supreme Court judgment, are you hopeful that PDP will resuscitate itself and have a stronghold in the country, especially come 2019?
I have no doubt that that will be the case, yes.
Because you believe that Ahmed McCarthy faction, now recognized as the authority of the party, will be able to unite all the divided factions?
Well, first of all, I need to correct you on that. 95% of the party leadership and the party followership were with the McAfee group, 95%. You only had about 5% on the other side. And we thank God that now the matter has been resolved by the law courts. The 95% remain united as they have always been. And we're sincerely hoping and praying that those that remain in the 5% will eventually see the light and join forces with us so that we can have them as well within our ranks. It's very important because politics is a game of numbers, and we need to have as many people as we can in order to be able to face the challenges ahead, which is essentially to prepare for the 2019 election and to win the elections within the various states and constituencies that come before them.
Okay, from what you said, 95% had been with Ahmed McCarthy and only 5%, I'm trying to get those statistics from you, only 5% was with Ali Modu Sharif. And just 5% was able to hold the party to ransom for so long. Don't you think something is fundamentally wrong?
Well, if you knew that, I think probably what's fundamentally wrong is your lack of understanding of what really transpired. It's a very simple thing. No governor was with Ali Modu Sharif. By the end of it all, no governor was with Ali Modu Sharif. No key member of none of the senators, none of the legislators, none of the party caucuses, none of those that are within the PDP elders caucus, the caucus, you know, the caucus of elders. Trustees, PDP Board of Trustees, none of them were there. Nobody of note except for a handful of people were with him. The Ministers' Forum, nobody was with him. But what he managed to do very cleverly was go to court 10 times in the space of 1 year, just as the Supreme Court actually said when they gave their judgment, that look, that this man seems to be obsessed with power. He seems to have an infantile attraction towards power. I'm quoting their words. And he just decided to sit there, regardless of the fact that nobody wanted him. Now, I won't say he didn't have anybody, and that's why I'm according him 5%. He's never disputed that. His argument was that he was put there, and under the laws of the party, under the laws of the party's constitution, he ought to be allowed to run for a specific period of time. And our position was that he was put there, and the very people that put him there, against, I might add, the counsel of many of us, when he was initially brought, when they got tired of him and saw through him, they decided to remove him. And the question was who was right and who was wrong. And it had to be settled in the law courts. And I thank God that eventually it was, and the Supreme Court came down our way. And now we're looking forward to see how we can move our party forward.
And talking about moving the party forward, many believe the PDP is already a washed-up party because so far it has not been able to provide viable opposition to make democracy thrive in the country. What is your take?
Why am I not surprised that you should be saying that?
And why is that?
Why is that?
It's a very subjective view. Let's not get into that. Let's try and be nice this morning. It's a beautiful morning. We're in a very good mood. We're on the rise in our party. But I can assure you that we have not provided washed-up opposition. We've provided virile opposition, despite the fact that the sitting federal government has tried its best to divide us, to demoralize us, and to destroy us by planting somebody like Ali Modu Sharif to lead our party right from the outset.
Speculation.
And we've remained united. No, it's not speculation, it's a fact, okay? Now, we have remained united, the 95%, regardless of these things. You talk about speculation, we lived it. You may be watching it, but we lived it, and we went through it. And it was a very difficult experience for us to go through. But regardless of those challenges, we have overcome those challenges now. And we are prepared to now prevent a virile opposition, far more effective than before, simply because before we were distracted and we were divided and people were trying to destroy our leading members. They've criminalized us, they've demonized us, they've done everything that any government could possibly do to an opposition party, but we have survived it, and we are now preparing ourselves to now go into the field. We did exceptionally well in Osun State. I wouldn't describe that as a washed-up performance at all. We won 9 out of 10 local government areas, and we won the senatorial district in Osun West, where the two factions, I might add, came together at the state level, and we did exceptionally well. We have an election in Osun next year, which we hope to win, and I'm pretty certain we're going to win that. And we will just remain focused, regardless of the insults, regardless of the assertions and the categorizations that so many people in the media seem to enjoy throwing at us.
All right. The concept of, or the idea of saying that Ali Modi Sheriff was planted and that the federal government was responsible, a lot of analysts, in fact, we've listened to some persons in PDP who say that that is a cheap excuse for the PDP not being a viable opposition the way things were the other time.
Look. Can I just please cut you in there so that we know whether we will continue with this or not? You keep saying it is not a viable opposition. Well, that is your assessment, and it is completely wrong. We have put this government on their toes despite the challenges that we have faced over the last 2 years. There's no question about that. That's the first one. You also you used the word cheap. Look, I'm not here to discuss cheap matters. This is a very serious issue. We know what went on. At the outset, I was the first person within the PDP and the only person within the PDP that opposed this man's imposition. He was brought by a handful of governors within our party, and he managed to fool them into thinking that he was the kind of man we needed. I spoke out at the time, just as you're expressing skepticism today. Virtually the whole party and all the caucuses, expressed the same skepticism at the beginning. And I said, look, we know this man, I know this man, and I know what's going to happen. After a while, the ministers' caucus came round, Ministers' Forum joined me, the PDP Board of Trustees Forum joined me, the national legislators joined me, the Governors' Forum that brought him initially joined me. Everybody now came on board after they saw what he was up to. We know what we were subjected to. We are the ones that are wearing the shoes, not you. And we feel the pinch. We were almost destroyed. And if this had continued, we would have gone into the 2019 election in this mess, and we would not have been able to provide a viable alternative to the people of Nigeria. And I don't think even those that support the APC and they believe that the great APC is the greatest thing since sliced bread would want that. This is a democracy. We want a strong, virile opposition that's united and that is not scuttled. So it's not a cheap anything. It's a very serious assertion. We stand by it. We felt it. We lived it, but we survived it. And we thank God for the courts of Nigeria that they were not influenced in any way and intimidated into ruling the other way. Look at the words of the Supreme Court justices. And I think once you go and study that judgment, you will say this is not a cheap anything. It was a very serious matter. It was an assault on the leadership of our party. And we're sincerely hoping that such thing will never happen again. We never did it, at least under the last administration. Jonathan never did that to the opposition. We allowed them to thrive, to work out their own internal affairs. We never interfered, we never planted people, and we never asked other people to go and sabotage them for us. At least Jonathan never did that. I might add it may have happened before then. So thank you. Yeah.
Okay, yes, well, it's still speculation as far as we are concerned. But then it doesn't seem to many people that...
well, it's my assertion. No, please, let me be very specific.
Okay.
It's my assertion.
All right.
You can label it and categorize it anything you want.
Okay.
It's my view, my assertion. You invited me on this program.
All right.
I don't categorize it as speculation. We take it very, very seriously, and that is my view. Said, please.
Okay, talking about PDP lawmakers in the National Assembly, especially the Senate, because you talked about intimidation and, of course, feeling the pinch of some sort. But many seem to think that PDP lawmakers in the Senate especially are comfortable and are doing pretty well.
The PDP lawmakers in the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
The PDP lawmakers in the Senate are part and parcel of the PDP party. We have a caucus within our party which is made up primarily of legislators, both of the federal House and of the Senate. And we know what we say within our own ranks, behind closed doors, about what's going on in the party. If you're talking about, if you're suggesting they're comfortable with what was happening concerning the division of the party, nobody within the party was comfortable. They have been comfortable doing their job, especially since the Deputy Senate President, a wonderful man who has done an excellent job, happens to be a member of the PDP. And they're doing what they're meant to do. They're working closely with their Senate President, who happens to be an APC man, to move the country forward. They're doing their job, and they're doing it effectively. But that does not mean to say they're comfortable with what's happening within our party. In any case, the matter has been resolved by the courts. It was an ordeal for us. It was a difficult time for us, but we've survived it, we've come through it, and we will provide the necessary opposition that will make Nigeria proud.
All right, the PDP has fixed October as the next convention. What should we be looking forward to as a way of ensuring that divisions don't happen again in the party the way it has taken place in the past?
Well, what I think we need to do, and I think we've started very, very well. Let me also say this. Every party, including the APC, has divisions within its ranks. It's a question of managing them to the extent that it doesn't spill over into a crisis. It's like a family. You have divisions. You have people that don't necessarily agree on anything. We manage these things. And I think we've done relatively well. If we can stay together through a crisis period, then that's the 95% I'm going back to. And all manner of arrests, all manner of intimidation, even an attempt to silence us in the media and so on and so forth, we managed to survive that. Now, the rest of it should be a reasonably easy walk. And I think McAfee has started very well. We had a great extended caucus meeting last night. Our leader was there, and virtually all our governors were there. All the key people within the party were there. And we were so happy with the things that were said. We're carrying everybody along. The caretaker committee is carrying everybody along. We're having a National Executive Committee meeting today. We're having a caucus meeting today. And, the convention is coming up. And everybody's excited about that. It's a PDP family affair. And by the time we elect a new national executive, a new national chairman, and party officers, I think we'll be ready to go to do what we're meant to do, which is to focus on keeping the federal government, which is made up of the APC, on their toes. And we will do that. Okay,
and talking about improving the PDP, the party is divided in some states as well. When you look at the political wranglings within the party. So are there steps now to unite the party, not just nationally now? Because, of course, we understand that politics is local. So uniting the party statewide and then taking it to the national level as is already done there.
That is the objective, and I think we're doing, again, like I said earlier, we're doing reasonably well there, even quite apart from the Sheriff versus McAfee crisis, which of course spilled over into the various states, because you now had factions within the states. The reports we're getting are that in virtually all the states, except for maybe one or two, the Sheriff faction has actually said, look, we're not interested in this division anymore. The courts have spoken, and we're now joining forces. I mean, in Osun State, for example, you had two factions, but we all came together even before the Supreme Court, and that happens to be my state, before the Supreme Court came up with this decision, and we worked together against the APC. What we're seeing now, the reports we're getting, is that everybody's coming together within the states, turning their backs on the divisions of yesterday, and trying to now, organize the party at the local level to ensure that they're fighting fit. The other divisions that we may have, which are not connected with the McAfee Sheriff issue, again, we're managing them. I think there was an issue of caretaker committees and so on and so forth. We're managing them. The most important thing is to have internal democracy within the party, to make sure everybody has a fair hearing, gets a clear shot, is able to make an input into the decision-making process at every level, and to feel part and parcel of the party. I think the 16 years that we were in power, probably what, and I'm sure you'll quite like this, probably what I think may have affected us a little bit was our inability to manage the success that we had for so many years. And I think that we've learned our lesson now that you don't take people for granted, even people within your own party. Group of people can't sit somewhere and make decisions for everybody else. We've got to come together, make everybody feel good. It's got to be inclusive, it's got to be democratic, and you certainly don't impose candidates in any of the states. And that's what I hope we will achieve this time round.
All right, we are winding down gradually, but if we make comparison between political parties now and political parties in the First and Second Republic, a lot of people say that ideologies are not well clear-cut, and not all members of the party understand the ideologies of the political parties. What will the PDP be doing to craft out its ideology for people and members to understand better?
Well, first of all, let me say that I happen to believe that in terms of ideology, where, you know, it's a pretty clear thing as far as I'm concerned. What we have today is pretty clear. You know, I would categorize the PDP as being a little bit right of center. I believe that advocating a free market economy, the creation of wealth, and so on and so forth, by the individual, moving away from state control of so many things, looking towards small government as opposed to big government. That has been the ethos, or at least that was meant to be the ethos of the PDP from the time it was created in 1999. I believe that those that are members of the APC, a little bit left of center, they claim to be almost, well, social democrats. I won't use the word socialist, social democrats. They claim to be a party of the people, which of course they're far from being, and so on and so forth. So that's where you have that clear ideological divide. And I think we've been quite faithful to that. Both sides have been quite faithful to that. What I think we need to look towards, though, and I think this is something that needs to be ironed out within both parties, are the fundamental issues that affect Nigeria as a nation. I'm a great believer in restructuring of this country. I believe it needs to be restructured. I'm a member of the PDP. My party has not come out to say that, but what they have done is that when Jonathan was in power, he put in place a national conference, called everybody together, and one of the promises he made in the 2015 election was to infect the recommendations of that conference. So that's actually restructuring to a certain extent. But I believe it should be embedded within our own party manifesto and so on and so forth. Others within the PDP may disagree with that, but this is something we need to discuss and come to a consensus on. I'm not sure, from what I've heard, all the utterances I've heard from the APC, they believe that there's no such thing as restructuring. There shouldn't be restructuring. At least the powers that be that control the APC, they don't believe in restructuring. They don't want restructuring. And so we know where they stand on that issue. But
well,
these are the fundamental differences.
In support of restructuring.
When the time comes, yeah.
All right.
Thank you very
well,
much.
I beg your pardon?
No, it's all right. Yeah, even,
no.
But the acting president has said they're doing something about that.
Well, but however, anyway.
Femi Fani-Kayode, Femi Fani-Kayode, former Minister of Aviation and
Chief Femi
Fani-Kayode. Sorry about that. Thank you.
And the APC has rejected restructuring from the beginning.
Well, the acting president said they're doing something about it. Thank you very much, Chief Femi Fani-Kayode.
Do you believe it?
Thank you very much. It's the government, so when the government puts out a statement, we have to believe it. But thank you for coming on the program. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, we don't. That's where you've got it wrong. We have to question everything.
All right. Thank you.